Hey guys, just wanted to do an update on a new project I'm starting. I bought a pre-owned 2004 XR650R, which is a Honda. This is built primarily, it's a four-stroke, single-cylinder, water-cooled, 650cc engine. Um, this is built as a purpose-built dirt bike. However, the person I bought it from had installed a dual sport kit, which includes brake lights, headlight, turn signals, horn, etc. This bike was running when I bought it. It seemed to run pretty strong. The compression seems to be very strong, and had a few add-ons. Has a aftermarket exhaust and I believe aftermarket headers. It has a sorry, I got the skid plate on top of it. It's got a larger fuel tank. Has a small thing. It has a K&N filter. Just some little doodads. I believe these handlebars are aftermarket. I would say it's in medium shape. I have no idea the miles or hours on the engine. It does seem strong though. I don't have any. I think the engine's gonna be fine. Plus these XR650s they're kind of legendary for being long-running, strong engines. So I hope that bears to be true. This particular bike has been used, no doubt about it. You can tell it's been on the ground a few times, and a couple components were worn. When I first bought it, I suspect it had sat for a while because the fuel was coming out the overflow in the carburetor, and it didn't really idle well, and it was a little hard to start. And what I think it was doing is when I later pulled the spark plug, is definitely, I think there was some pretty significant flooding issues. I actually pulled the stock carb. I won't do it here, but I pulled off the bowl and the float valve, which is what would shut off the fuel when the carburetor float reaches a certain level, was not jammed up in there, but was not moving freely and not working the way it should have been. I also noticed a small coolant leak. I thought it was the reservoir, which is positioned down by the skid plate, but I came to find out that it was the water pump. Just like a car, they have a little weep hole. Where's this one at? Right there. A little weep hole in them, and sure enough, that's where it was coming out. I took apart. These water pumps can be replaced component by component, but I think you need special presses, and that's a little beyond my knowledge base. And I just bought a whole new assembly, so a little expensive, but not necessarily a cost I was hoping for, but it is what it is. A couple other things. Parts, for the most part, are pretty inexpensive on this bike. I debated back and forth, but I decided just to go ahead and get a new chain, sprocket set, brake pads, and rear wheels. All of those things seem to be a little worn on this bike, and I figured, let's just do it at one time. Like I said, it does have the dual sport kit or the light kit on it. I'm going to go ahead and once I get it running, I'm going to, get this registered in Nevada as a dual sport. My primary use will be to put it in the back of the truck camper. I've got a little bike rack for it, which I've used and works. Take it out to the desert, but it'll also be nice to know that if I need to putt around the street a little bit, I definitely can. So I ordered a bunch of parts, and hopefully they should all come in here by about this time next week, maybe a little later. And I hope to have this bike up and running within about a week and a half or 2 weeks. One thing I did want to talk about is the carburetor. I went ahead and bought an aftermarket Mikuni TM42, which is in the mail, actually, all the way from Australia, of all things. A couple things. I do have a rebuild kit for the stock carb, and I'm sure the stock carburetor is just fine. But, I did a mild impulse buy, and we'll see if it works out well. One thing that some people did complain was stock carb does have a tendency to flood and I saw that firsthand. And you know, a lot of people, there's Mikuni TM40 is more common, but both places, a lot of people speak very favorable and about you know, the benefits those are known as a pumper carb provide to this engine. So I went ahead and did it. If it works out well, my thoughts are I will just sell the. I'll probably rebuild and sell the stock one on the you know, to try to recoup some of those funds. It's kind of weird. Whoever had this before did some modifications. Like I talked about, they got the new exhaust. They definitely rejetted the stock carb. It had a 175 main. They opened up the air box, which you can see here. They did this where, you know, it's a pretty common modification. They'll you know, cut little holes inside the air box and put little screens in there. But the weird thing is this is the rubber boot that goes from the intake to the carburetor, and if you look there, you can see it's a kind of a rectangular shaped hole. This was done for, as I understand it, for emission purposes, and Honda actually sell a kit which included a different boot that was a circular hole, essentially allowing all the flow possible. And they even, in the airbox, had 2 areas where you can just pop out without any tools to open it up, which, and oddly enough, whoever did this, they spent the money to put in the new exhaust, to rejet the carb. They put in a K&N filter and cut the holes in the side panel, but they didn't replace that boot. And then the 2 other places that you can open up the airbox, they did not do that also. So I'm not really sure. It was kind of weird. So I ordered the new boot and all that kind of stuff. So I'll update when this goes. Please leave comments, though, you know, about your thoughts on the XR, any ideas. Pretty excited about it, you know, spending a little bit more money than I maybe wanted to with my initial hunt for a motorcycle. I really kind of wanted to buy one that was good to go as is, and you know, there were actually a couple out here in the market I'm in, but they were definitely a lot more than this was. So I guess the advantage is, you know, I'll have some time working on this. I'll know what it is. I do like the XR. I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks.